This lesson is areas of parallelograms and trapezoids. This is 10.3. We're skipping 10.2. It's not, we don't have a lot of time, and it's just not a section we want to spend time on with the limited time we have available. But we are going to look at some formulas today, and one of these you should be very familiar with. One of these you may not be so familiar with, but we're looking at formula for area of a parallelogram, which includes rectangles, as you will know, and areas of trapezoids. So let's look at parallelogram first. B is base, H is height, capital A is always area. Okay, now on a parallelogram, this can be the base, even though it's not setting on this, it can still be the base. So I can use this for the base or this for the base, either one works, but the height is always a perpendicular height. So with a parallelogram, I'm always looking for the height that is perpendicular. I don't care what this is here, it's just this one I'm concerned about. With a rectangle, this is one of the sides. The side is perpendicular to the base, so you don't see this. But with one of these, you do see this with the perpendicular sign there. Okay, let's look at trapezoid. We've got, I actually spelt that wrong. I'm sitting here looking at that, that's terrible. Spelt it wrong. Can we fix that just real quick? There we go. Area equals 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Okay, now again, look at a trapezoid. A trapezoid, you have two parallel lines. Notice in a parallelogram you have four parallel lines. These two are parallel, and these two are parallel. In a trapezoid, you have these two parallel, but the other two are not. Or you may have these two parallel, but these two are not. Okay, so this formula is a little different. Base B sub 1 is just base. This is the first base. Okay, B sub 2 is this base. It's just separating the base. Kind of like y1 and y2 when we were finding slope. It's just b1 and b2. So you have to add the bases together, multiply by the height, and divide by 2, or multiply by 1/2, which is the same thing. So let's look at some problems. It will help to have a calculator with this today. The base of a parallelogram is 5 inches. Again, that's here, or that's here. Doesn't matter. The height is twice the base. Find the area. Well, if the base is 5 and the height is twice the base, that's 2 times the base, which is 10. So the area is base times height, which is 5 times 10, which is equal to 50. And it's 50 square inches because area is measured in square units. So it's square inches. We need to remember to deal with the units today. Next, find the area of the parallelogram or trapezoid. So first, we've got a trapezoid. I'm going to do the work over here. I'm going to just keep this formula here. 1/2 B1 plus B2 times H equals the area. Okay, well here we got 1/2. B1 is 3. B2 is 9. H is 8.5. That equals A. Okay, now I'm going to add the parentheses, what's in the parentheses together. I got 1/2 times 12 times 8.5. Okay, so you don't distribute the 1/2 because this isn't parentheses, it's just all multiplied together. So it's just 1/2 times 12, which is 6 times 8.5, and 6 times 8.5 is 51, and it is 51 square meters, okay, because we're finding area. Let's look at this parallelogram. Well, the base is here, the height is here. So it's just base times height. I'll write the formula. Area equals base times the height. Base is 6. Height is 5. That's going to give us 30 square feet. 30 feet squared. Okay. Here we have another trapezoid. I'm going to leave the formula here. But we're going to go ahead. It's 1/2. Let's write it over here. 1/2. Base 1 is 5, base 2 is 7, so if we add those together we get 12 times the height, which is 4. 1/2 times 12 is 6. Okay, so 6 times 4 is 24, and it is centimeters squared. There's our answer for this. Okay, next one. 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height, so it's 1/2. Base 1, it doesn't matter which one's base 1 and which one's base 2, you're adding them. So 22 plus 13 is 35. Okay, 1/2 that times the height. Now, I don't want to mess with 1/2 of this because it'll be a decimal. So can I take 1/2 of this and get a whole number? Yes. Doesn't matter the order I do it in. Remember, commutative property states we can change this order up. So 1/2 times 16 is 8. Okay, so 8 times 35 gives us 280. And it is inches squared, or square inches. That's how it's said. Okay, that's basics of using the two formulas we've been given. Let's look at the next page. The height of a trapezoid is 6 meters. One of its bases is 8. The area is 54. Find the other base. Okay, all we're doing, we should be good at this, guys. We're going to write an equation and we're going to solve for what's not known. Okay, plug in the numbers we know. Well, 1/2 stays 1/2. One of the bases is 8. It doesn't matter whether that's base 1 or base 2. We're just going to do it like this. Actually, I don't have to have the 2 on it. Let's just call it B. Okay? Height is 6. That equals A. So we're going to solve for B. Now this looks a little weird. This may look a little new to us because of what the order it's in. But remember, it's this times this times this. And so if I switch the order, I'll kind of do it over here because I'm not going to need to show that. I don't want to do that. 1/2. I could do it like this. Okay? I want to make sure that is 54. So I could actually move the 6 over here if I wanted to switch the order, and 1/2 times 6 is just 3. That's a mess, but I hope you understood what I'm saying. I could actually just stick the 6 on this side of the parentheses right here and multiply the 1/2 times the 6 and get 3. Now there are two ways you can solve this. You can do distributive property, multiply the 3 times the 8 and the 3 times the b. Let's go ahead and do that since that's what you're most familiar with. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 3b equals 54. We're going to subtract 24 from both sides. I get 3b equals 30. So b equals 10. Okay, and we're done. Okay, so the only thing really new was having these kind of things out of order. But you know you can move the 6 over here, find half of that, use distributive property, and you're done. Let's look at another one like that. See if I can do it a little less messy. We've got the height of a trapezoid is 4, one of its bases is 9, the area is 28, find the other base. So again, it's 1/2. One of the bases is 9, so it's going to be 9 plus b times the height, which is 4, equals 28. Okay, now I know I can just go ahead and multiply the 1/2 by the 4 because I can technically move this 4 over here, right? So 1/2 times 4 is 2. And that's going to be 2 times 9 plus b equals 28. Now I'm going to do it the way we just did it, and then I'll show you another way you can do this. You can use distributive property. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 2 times b is 2b, and that equals 28. If I subtract 18 from both sides, that leaves us with 2b equals 10, so b has to equal 5. Okay? Let's show you another way. Instead of using distributive property, remember this is almost just like 2 times x. Just because there's a bunch of stuff in the parentheses, it's still just one thing we're multiplying to 2. So if I had 2x equals 28, the way to solve that would be to divide by 2, and I can do that here. If I divide both sides by 2, the 2's cancel, and I get 9 plus b equals 14. Okay, then I just subtract 9 from both sides, and I get b equals 5. You get the same answer. Okay, so either way works. Let's look at what we have next. Okay, now this, if we're finding the area of the figure, there's no formula for some kind of goofy looking thing like this. You have to split it up into things you know. Since today we're looking at trapezoids, there are different ways you can split this thing up, but I'm going to split this up into two trapezoids that look like this. Okay, there are different ways you can do this, but this is now a trapezoid, and this is now a trapezoid. Okay, so 1/2. The trapezoid base 1 is 5, base 2 is 8. That's 13. So it's 1/2 times 13 times 3, right? 13 times 3 is 39. Half of 39 is 19 and a half. Okay, next, 1/2. Base 1 plus base 2 is 13. Height is 3. Well, we have this thing looking like the thing we just had last time. 1/2 times, this is 39, times 1/2, well, that's 19.5. Well, if this is 19.5, and this is 19.5, if I add these together, I get the total area of the whole thing. That is 39 feet squared. And we're done. One thing I know I forgot, please don't forget this, I forgot to put units on this. We're dealing with feet, so B equals 5 feet. Even I forget to do this. This is meters, 10 meters. Please do not forget to do units like I just did. Please remember to do that. Let's do, this is the last two problems we'll do, and this is just, again, basics. We're looking for the unknown. So area is 40. It's a parallelogram. 40 equals base, which is 25, times the height. Well, divide both sides by 25, and that'll tell us what the height is. 40 divided by 25 equals 1.6. H is equal to 1.6, and that is in inches. Not going to forget that time. Okay, here, area 300 equals base, which we don't know, times height, which is 20. Okay, divide both sides by 20. We get B is equal to 15. And it is meters, because we're dealing with meters there. Okay, so again, that's how we're using the formulas. A equals B times H for parallelogram, and A equals 1/2 B1 plus B2 times H for trapezoid. And I think, yep, that is all we have today.